Being invisible. You know what I mean. Former supermodel Paulina Prowaskova put it this way: once you're over 40, you're a brick in the building. I'm Linda Hughes. Welcome to Baby Boomer Real Talk. Most of us women at this stage of our lives remember the days when simply being a young woman meant that we'd get attention from men and women. We'd walk into a room, people would look, and the look would hold. But let's be honest. Now the look usually doesn't hold, if we get it at all. That starts, I think, in late midlife, and by now we're used to it. But is that a bad thing, really, to not be noticed? For me, and maybe for you, there was a lot of angst that went along with getting attention when I was younger. Now, mind you, I was never a beauty. At best, I was described as cute. In my mid-teens, like most of us, I suppose I got attention just for being young. We were fresh-faced, exuberant, naive. The attention was flattering, but by the time I was in my late teens and early 20s, I went through so much turmoil when people noticed me. How about you? I worried about how I looked. Was my blue eyeshadow bright enough? Was my hair big enough? Was my push-up bra doing its job? Now, as you can see, there's none of that. If someone doesn't like what they see, they can leave. I do try to look presentable enough not to scare people, but all that said, we don't need to give in to being treated as though we're invisible, especially when it matters. There are times when it doesn't matter, and I revel in those times. I can go to the grocery store without one bit of worry about how I look because no one cares. There's that old saying, when you're 20 years old, you worry about what everyone thinks of you. When you're 40, you don't care what anyone thinks of you. When you're 60, you realize no one was thinking of you. So sometimes it doesn't matter, but sometimes it does. Have you ever walked into a store or business and been totally ignored? There could be many reasons, but one could very well be a bias against aging, especially aging women. Our culture is so youth-oriented, it can seem as if we don't exist in some people's perceptions. Here's an example. I was in a shipping store where there were two of us this age in line. The lone employee, a man about 40, was preoccupied stacking packages, so the two of us politely waited. Us baby boomers were taught to be polite. He'd seen us, he knew we were there, and the woman ahead of me was standing right at the counter with her package on the counter, clearly first in line. Then a young woman bounced in. I mean that literally. She was bouncing everywhere. "Hi," she hollered to the guy. "Can you help me with this?" She walked right up to stand next to the woman at the counter and plopped down her package. She was so rude. The guy turned around, looked at the two of us who'd been waiting, and went straight to her. I'm not even kidding, but you've probably been through this, so you know exactly what I mean. Well, that wasn't going to work for either of us baby boomers. I said, "Excuse me, we were here first." To his nominal credit, the guy did look confused. The young woman rolled her eyes and ignored us and proceeded to tell him what she wanted. "Hello, are we invisible?" the other woman shouted. "Is this our invisible day?" There's more, but suffice it to say the young woman stomped out with her package. The other woman and I, well, we walked out too, vowing never to go back. That place lost 3 customers that day. So here's what I think about how to handle being treated as though we're invisible in situations where it matters. First of all, speak up. Be assertive, but never aggressive. Don't get rowdy enough to land in jail, but also don't let anybody get away with it. For example, I loved what the other woman said, and I've said it a few times since. "Hello, is this my invisible day?" If you're really invested in what happened, contact management, not to mention social media possibilities. If you are assertive and it just doesn't work, at least you know you're not alone in this. You can come back here and find comfort in seeing this again. And if being assertive just is not for you, go away knowing, again, that you're not alone in this. It is not just you. It happens to most of us, probably all of us. Let it go. Don't stress over it unless it's vitally important that you deal with it, like if money is involved. In that case, solicit help, a family member or friend, and even a lawyer, if that's appropriate. On the flip side of standing up for ourselves when we think we've been ignored because of age, we also need to make sure not to make assumptions about people of other ages. There are many who are not prejudiced against us because of age. We don't need to brew up a storm until we know for sure what's already brewing. Here's my final tip about being more assertive as we age, because others may not really see us. This happened to me just yesterday. I went to get my hair cut. I showed the stylist a picture. She agreed to it and proceeded to chop off the hair on the side of my head, which is nothing like the picture. I yelped. She said that was what the picture looked like, not even close. I've never not had hair before. My head actually feels cold. I'm unhappy, but it's too late now. But that makes me stop and think that, unfair as that may be, now that we're in that group of old people that some don't respect enough to pay attention to, we need to be more proactively assertive. Don't assume they're paying attention. Next time I'll be much more specific, probably obnoxiously specific, pointing out exactly what I want, with everything, not just hair, or no hair in my case. And here's the deal. We all know this is most important at home with family and friends. Being ignored in a store or at the hair salon is one thing, but being taken for granted at home is another. We've all heard of moms and grandmas who go on strike because they're so taken for granted, but that can be a whole other episode. Here's some food for thought to wrap up this discussion. Poet Donna Ashworth wrote, "It's not that you become invisible with age, it's that you no longer attract the wrong attention. You have earned yourself this right to feel invincible, not invisible, never invisible." So here's where you come in. Comment with your thoughts on being invisible. You might have some more good tips for us. I look forward to seeing what you have to say. Let's be invincible.